Hello, everyone. And today is double trouble. So I've got my Mountain Dew. I barely finished. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say barely, it's two-thirds done. And then I got a full shotgun here. This is going to be that kind of video. Given a few moments because this wasn't scheduled for an audience to build. And I started this video earlier today on YouTube. And then for some reason, in the middle of a very good cell area, the signal died. So I guess that was my sign from the libertarian gods that I needed to do this as a regular video. 1 second, let me have a sip of soda. And hello to Road to Providence. So hopefully after my little practice run, I'll be able to express this a little better because I don't think I expressed it well before. And I understand that reasonable people can disagree with me, but I'm hoping you hear where I'm coming from on this. First, let's explain. Well, before we explain, let's do the grifting. If you're not a patron of the show, you don't get any kind of content anywhere but here, and that except for maybe on that Twitter account, LP Inside Baseball, which I haven't seen him post lately, and he's usually a listener to my show, so I don't want to out who you are, but if you want to comment, and please, this is a participatory show. I want to interact with you guys. Maybe you'll change my mind. Also, all super chats go to fund my campaign. I've running for LNC officer is horribly expensive, and I need to raise. Don't freak out at the amounts. You'll freak out about probably how much I've already raised, but I've always been honest with you. And anyone who contributes to my campaign can have access to my campaign transparency spending and fundraising sheet so you can see how much money I got in and how much money is going out. And most things are supported by receipts. But I need to raise about $3,000 more dollars. And then I'll be set. And I'll shut up about it. So hopefully we will get there. And boy, were the Virginia Libertarians generous. They raised $1,600 for me. They brought me to tears with that. And speaking of tears, I am really close to the verge of tears tonight. I'm very tired. So when I'm tired, I get super emotional, but the subject matter is making me very, very emotional as well. I don't expect everyone to understand. But here we go. Now that I've given you the trigger warnings that there might be female crying, which I know can tug at some men's heartstrings here. And thank you, Ryan S. And I hope the advice I had given you on your PTA standing rules was helpful. Some disclaimers out of the way. I'm probably going to be self-contradictory in some of the things I'm going to say. In my heart of hearts, I believe Erin's motion is done in good faith. I'm going to say some things which kind of contradict that because I have a real big trust issue with this LNC. But my better nature is telling me that her motion is in good faith. Maybe it's not. I would prefer to think it is. But the implications of it are not, if that makes any sense. So what is her transparency motion? And I did get some things off the screen here because I promised Sharice Norton from Oklahoma that I would detail out specifically what some of my concerns were and back it up. And look at all this I printed out. Because Mama has fucking receipts like Mama usually does. So what her motion is, remember, Dan Fishman, all on his own, boo hiss, established an LNC secret list. They like to call it an internal list, which sanitizes what it is. It's a secret list. It's a list where LNC members go to have private little secret conversations amongst themselves. I complained about it the entire time it existed. Well, close to the entire time it existed, particularly when it started being abused. And I started just unilaterally forwarding things from the secret list to the public list. And I got really chastised for that and borderline threatened that I would be disciplined if I kept doing that, which is pretty funny since Erin has threatened that if her motion doesn't pass, she's just going to unilaterally release things to the public. More rules for me, but not for thee. I'm not even saying I disagree with her. I'm just saying it is so funny the way they rode my ass about everything, just like they rode my ass about a missing comma in my otherwise excellent minutes. Meanwhile, I'm sorry, John Wilford he's not a good secretary. He's a great guy, but his work product is terrible. Just, I probably shouldn't keep saying that, but it's breaking my heart because I took my work, like a lot of pride in it, and to see the role go down so much. Ryan Brown, you might not be so proud of it after you hear what I have to say. But maybe you will be. But I want you guys to understand why I oppose her motion. Because on the face of it, it seems hypocritical for me to oppose it. And I will admit that right up front, but hopefully by the end, you will understand why. When conversations happen, they happen in a certain context. They happen not only in the context of the surrounding words, they happen in the context of the mood of the party at the time. And I don't think it's possible to read emails from a year ago and understand them, because there's a lot of things that are left unsaid because everyone knew it at the time. It happened in a context, and it's so easy to twist words out of context because nobody remembers the context in which they were said. That doesn't mean I don't think they should be released, but I do think that's a huge caveat. So that brings up my question. I've been complaining about this for over a year. Why all of a sudden does Erin want to release them now? Why didn't she want to put a stop to this a year ago? I'm sorry, but that's a question we all need to ask each other. I do not trust the motives of this LNC. It'd be different if it just occurred to them right now, but it didn't. Why now? What's happening in the near future? Oh, a national convention is happening where people you might not want to get elected are going to get elected. Do you somehow think that some out of context emails may help you defeat people that you don't want to think get elected? The timing is very, very suspicious. And I am suspicious. Do I want all, I'm going to say all with an asterisk. Do I want all of these emails to be released? Yes. Do I want this LNC to do it 3 months before a convention? No, because I don't trust them. I believe there's an ulterior motive here. I am very suspicious. The way, if you're going to wait a year, it's on you. It's not on me. It's on you. And this LNC should pass a resolution saying that the next LNC should, maybe 2 months into its term, release all the emails so that everyone can read them, not in the middle of the emotional fervor of an election where things are going to get twisted out of context and people are going to get hurt. And I don't think what I'm saying is unreasonable. Why? Why now? I want the answer to that question. Why now? What stopped you from doing this 3 months ago, 6 months ago? What stopped you from doing this when I complained? Why didn't you bother to hear? And Richard is now complaining, we're releasing them without any rules. Well, why, Richard, did you adjourn the meeting in September without hearing the policy manual proposal I had to create rules? Why did you not sponsor the email or at least amend the email motion that I made around June to create rules? Don't you guys find this suspicious? You should. Now, beyond all of that, I'm going to tell you my real reason, because I don't have anything to fear from these emails. They treated me like shit in these private emails. Now, do I think those email exchanges that prove that still exist? I don't know. I haven't had access to these emails till September. We already have a national chair who proved he has no reason. He was perfectly willing to delete emails. How do I know all the damning ones haven't been deleted? I don't know that. And what are they going to try to make me out to be a liar? Also, this XCOM is not unbiased. If anyone's going to look at these, perhaps it should be the attorney, or perhaps it should be a committee of very old timer trusted party members. This XCOM is Whitney Bilyeu, John Phillips, Richard Longstreth, Laura Epke. Okay, then there's Ken Molman, who I trust, and Tim Hagan, who will go with however the crowd is going to go. And John, I'm not here to expose corruption, Wilford. I don't trust them for a second. Now, we're going to get to the real reason I'm objecting. Besides all of this, it's very suspicious. But even of it being real suspicious, if they haven't deleted any emails, it's going to help my case, particularly because there is an email thread in there where Susan gaslit the fuck out of me. And a lot of people will read that email chain and go, I don't see anything wrong with it. But any of you who have been involved in a relationship with a narcissistic person or a gaslighter will read that email and get like the Forrest Whitaker eye twitch. You'll go, because she gaslit the absolute living daylight out of me. The emotional abusiveness in there. And listen, I wasn't the most polite person on the planet. Big surprise. I could be aggressive. I don't care about any of that. I do that in public. I care that they've deleted the damning emails. But what I more care about is, if you all remember in the quote unquote case against me, gathered by the cop, Matthew Buffman, there were private emails, and these were legitimately private emails. These were emails that legitimately belonged in the confidential list, were released to the public. One of them was me expressing a safety concern I had about another member. It doesn't matter whether my safety concern was legitimate or not. All it mattered is that I believed it. I believed I could be in danger from this member. And Laura Epke recklessly released my concerns to the public, and this member saw it. And this member has since brought it up over and over and over again, making me even more fearful. Now, has this member ever threatened me? No. But I trust my gut, and most women know what I'm saying. When there's a man who's behaving in a way that makes you feel very, very nervous, to the point that you tell other people, please, please don't ever leave me in a room alone with this person. You trust your gut. And I had security protocols in place at LNC meetings where I would never be left alone in a room with this person. And Laura Epke recklessly and maliciously, in my point of view, released an email where I expressed my security concerns about this person. That is horrible. And that's not the only email where I express these concerns. So, of course, when I see Erin going, we're just going to release the whole list, I'm thinking, are all of my security concern emails going to be made public? Am I going to be put in danger? I don't care about whatever mean words I may have said. I've said those in public. I'm concerned about my safety. And I think I have every right to be concerned about my safety. And since they've already proven that they are more than willing to release private emails under the policy manual that I had every right to expect privacy on, I should be worried. So when Laura Epke released that email that compromised my safety, I complained to the chair. This was about August 28th. And I asked the chair, even though the barn is out of the horse. The horse is out of the barn. This private email should be yanked from the public view out of the evidence folder. And I should get an apology from Laura for releasing this. Whitney ignored my complaint. That email is still public to this day. I have followed up with Whitney about this complaint. I'm going to guess 6 or 7 times, and she still has done nothing about it. This is a legitimate complaint. I would love somebody in here to try to tell me that's not a legitimate complaint. If a woman goes to her superiors and says, I have a security concern. And I made it very clear. I said, I'm not asking you to restrict this member's rights in any way. They've never threatened me. This is just my gut. And I've learned in life to trust my gut. And they release that email. And there's probably three or more similar to that. Of course, I'm concerned they're going to release that. And that's not unreasonable. So of course I'm worried about that. And I'm like really, really upset about that. Second thing I'm concerned about is in those discussions, there were some very private health concerns shared. Now, a lot of those health concerns I shared publicly. I am very open about my health. I am very open about the fact that throughout my life, I have struggled with major depressive disorder. I'm very open about the fact that I have autism. I was very open about the fact that when some of the people who I thought were my best friends back in June stabbed me in the back, people that I loved and trusted, that I was in a really, really bad place. I was very open about that fact. And we discussed it in the secret list. But I'm over that now. I got the counseling that I needed. I'm way over that. All of us have been in places like that in our life. We should never, ever be ashamed. We should never, ever be felt to be made ashamed to openly discuss these types of issues. But that is now 8 months ago. Do you think I want to relive all of that again? I don't think that my private and very personal health concerns that I've already dealt with and I dealt with on my personal page should be released again to be used as political fodder. I talk about it. You can ask me about it. But this is a very selfish concern. But I don't want to relive getting backstabbed by my friends again. That was very painful. All of the business stuff, let the monkeys fly. Anytime that I might have been less than polite, let the monkeys fly. All I care about is my safety concerns and my very private health conversations. And I think that is perfectly, perfectly reasonable to expect privacy on. Those have nothing to do with party business. They were me talking to friends. And I've asked for assurances that those items would not be released. And while Erin said I had a good point, she can't give me any kind of assurances. Eric Radsepp said, no, you are absolutely right. Like, even with HIPAA, we need to be really careful with health things and with safety things. So, God forbid anything bad ever happened to you and we were responsible. The party could be in some deep, deep legal shit over that. But I've gotten no assurances from people who can actually make those assurances. From the party chair. The party chair has ignored my ethical complaint against Laura Epke since August. How fast did they investigate Joshua Smith for daring to say something about one of her best friends, Tara DeSisto? 1 week. Meanwhile, I made a complaint concerning something that could potentially put me in danger since August, and the party chair has done nothing? And I agree with you, O'Donnell. I don't think HIPAA applies here. I'm just telling you what Eric said. I think common decency applies here. And I don't think you release people's health information without their permission just because you're a decent person. This has to do with being decent, not HIPAA. I agree with you. HIPAA is very, very misunderstood. But the fact is, I was very, very open on my own public page. I am always very, very open about mental health issues. And I'll tell you why. I used to be part of a fundamentalist church. And in the fundamentalist church, you never talked about mental health issues because you want to know why? That meant you didn't have enough faith. And if you only prayed hard enough, you wouldn't be depressed. And God forbid you ever take medication because that just shows you don't trust God. I was so victimized, if that's the right word, by that fundamentalist mindset that no one will ever shut me up from talking about mental health issues. But those mental health issues I talked about back in June were set in a context that no longer exists today. And for someone to yank those out of context and act like it applies today because they don't want to see me get elected, that's dirty politics. And I think that's exactly what their intents are. I am more than happy to discuss mental health issues I have suffered my whole life, like many of us do. You know how many people in this party struggle with depression or anxiety or bipolar? I consider myself blessed that I just have your basic run-of-the-mill depressive disorder, which I've been doing great on, by the way. I've been off of antidepressants for a while. I could talk to me offline. There's been some miracle therapy that Abbins O'Brien recommended to me that has changed my life. But the fact is, our party chair doesn't care about ethical complaints unless it's against people she doesn't like. So I have some emails here. Here's September 8th. I don't have my email from August because that email was sent on my secretary email and I no longer have access to those emails. But here is my email September 8th to Whitney and Ken Molman. And I'm going to read it to you. I'm not posting it on the screen because it has the name of the volunteer whose name I wish to shield. It says, I made several complaints before the suspension motion, and I supplemented one of them afterwards. Number 1, in lobbying support for the suspension motion, the LNC supporters used inappropriate tactics, including violating the confidentiality of things allegedly told to the EPCC. That one complaint Whitney did investigate. Where did I get that information? Erin Adams told me that personally. She told me personally that staff members told her in her role on EPCC that if I wasn't gotten rid of, they would quit. She now denies saying that. I would be willing to take a lie detector that she said that to me. Staff members deny ever saying that. As far as I'm concerned, that complaint is resolved. However, it's still inappropriate to weaponize staff, whether or not you got. Oh, and thank you. I just saw Fidalgo Files for the super chat. Thank you. It's inappropriate to weaponize staff, whether or not you got that information from the EPCC. So I said to Whitney, you only investigated half of my complaint. Half of my complaint was that EPCC information was used, but the other half was that the supporters of the motion used strong-arm tactics to scare other LNC members that staff members would resign. That is completely and absolutely inappropriate to weaponize staff in that way. So that's the first complaint she never investigated. But here's the one that's relevant to what we're talking about today. Number 2, Ms. Ebke posted a completely appropriate email that I made in confidence concerning the fitness of a volunteer for a committee. That same volunteer is the subject of a confidential alert to the officers of this party of a potential subjective danger that I feel. The full LNC, including Ms. Ebke, was made aware of this complaint, yet she publicly posted this email anyway, potentially exposing me to danger and exposing that volunteer to embarrassment. I made both of these complaints to you, and you never even acknowledged them. So then I went on with a complaint about Ms. DeSisto, funny enough, back in September. So this was my second time I complained to Whitney about Ms. Ebke and that email. And then she did acknowledge that email. Then I wrote her on September 21st, and I said, it's been several weeks and I've heard nothing further. How fast did they investigate, Joshua? And she asked if I'd been interviewed by Mr. Molman. I let her know at some point that Mr. Molman had evidence himself about Erin Adams pressuring him to vote yes by weaponizing staff, and that perhaps a impartial committee should be appointed to investigate this. And then Ken Molman confirmed this to Whitney on September 22nd. Mr. Molman said to Whitney, and she ignored this, I heard the rumor that 4 staff members will resign. And then I was personally told that half of the staff will resign if she remains on the board. So he confirmed. Number 2, about Ms. Ebke, this could be grounds for a motion for disciplinary action if it was obvious that the content was supposed to remain private and it was made public. And it was obvious. And then I responded to Ken Molman's email on September 25th to Whitney about the 4 staff members will resign. This is an ethical violation by LNC members telling others that they are trying to persuade to remove another member that half of the staff will resign. The maxim that staff does not get involved in internal politics also means that the LNC does not involve staff in internal politics. I find this quite appalling. And I went on and on, as I tend to do. And then addressing about Ms. Ebke sharing my private information. This is ethically wrong. We were instructed by you, when you were chair, to discuss these things on the internal list due to the sensitive nature of the committee. The committee that was in question was the New Hampshire Investigatory Committee. Of course, this email was expected to remain confidential. We were told by the chair to keep them confidential. Yet Ms. Epke violated that. It actually wasn't her. She was just the shill. It was the cop, Buffman, that did so. But Epke personally posted it, so she needs to take responsibility. With that in mind, on an internal list, I shared my concerns, as is my fiduciary duty to do so. This not only violated confidentiality, it potentially puts me in danger. I am deeply concerned that the complaint that I made about this immediately was ignored. Okay. And then I said to Whitney says, well, I'm talking with staff to see if any of them threaten to resign. I said to Whitney on September 30th, thank you. I want to be clear that the main issue is the LNC members, not the staff. The LNC members taking what they may or may not have heard from staff and using it to leverage votes. I also have since learned that they leverage that information to scare state chairs. This is completely out of line. September 30th, I also want to add to my complaint. Mr. Lucchini also promised to support certain factional candidates as a replacement for secretary in exchange for at least one state chair supporting his yes vote. There is no way all of this is getting swept under the rug. I guess I was wrong. Whitney swept it all under the rug. October 14th, me to Whitney. It's now 6 weeks out from me first making these complaints, and nothing has been done. October 14th, Whitney says, I have no word from Molman interviewing you. Well, then she should have followed up on Molman. That's not my problem. She says, I've spoken with staff and find no substantiation there. So staff never claimed to want to quit. I didn't believe they did. I think the LNC members who leveraged this made it up. I said to Whitney on October 14th, I clarified with her once again because she keeps playing stupid. I am not claiming staff actually claimed to quit. My complaint was that LNC members claimed that and used that to rally LNC votes. My complaint is not about staff. It is about the LNC. And I said, Mr. Molman is a witness to these things, so it's more appropriate to appoint an investigating committee. This was on October 14th. And then she asked me which LNC members in particular. I said, which ones? Chris Lucchini and Erin Adams for certain. I'm reasonably certain that Laura Epke and Valerie Sarwark did as well. Eric Radsep, Ken Molman, Steve Nikela, and Rich Bowen were told that and can confirm which LNC members said that to them. And it wasn't just LNC members that were lobbied with it. Regional chairs were lobbied with that information by Erin Adams and Chris Lucchini. And then Whitney says, I'm not understanding basically what you're saying. It would be more helpful if I could talk to you directly. I invited her to talk with me directly, but said I was out of town. She has never since bothered to try to call me. It is not up to me once the complaint has been lodged. It is up to her. And I told her I was on a plane. Then I wrote her again, October 30th. I am following up on this again. I shouldn't have to chase this. November 8th, yet another week. I'm following up on this. November 8th, Whitney wrote me back. Thank you. I expect to report back by the end of the week, if not sooner. I heard nothing after that until months later when she said the EPCC wasn't violated confidentiality. And that was all she ever investigated. I think I have a few more emails, but I've documented this, I think, quite a bit, my friends. But I think, one second here, I might have one more chain, or I might have printed this chain twice. But you can see this went on for months. How fast did they investigate Joshua again? Yeah, that was the same email chain. It's just that I had it several times. I didn't print in January where she assured me that the confidentiality of the EPCC was not violated. I thanked her for that and said that was never my main complaint. My main complaint was the inappropriate use of staff by the LNC and Ms. Ebke's violation of the confidentiality. And she still has done nothing, yet they censured Joshua in 1 week. Rules for me and Joshua, but not for anybody else. So I hope now my concerns about the releasing of this list are clear. It's not about the list. Most of the stuff has nothing to do with me. Do I want to see what nasty little things they said about me during my appeal? You bet your sweet ass I want to read that. But I don't think it's unreasonable for me to ask that my safety concerns and my confidential concerns about the fitness for committees for certain committees that the chair asked us to put on the internal list, and my health concerns be kept private. I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Everything else is fair game. I probably did say some stupid things during this time. We all do. But I don't trust that the really damning emails haven't been deleted. We don't know that. You can't know that. Obviously, it'd be very difficult to manufacture emails. But the safety items have to be removed. The safety items absolutely have to be removed. I have a policy manual right to that. Not that they care about my rights, they never have. I care about that more than I do the health things because I think it makes them look bad to mock people for having health concerns. But still, anyone wants to read about health concerns can go back on my wall and read it in my own words and in context. But those safety concerns absolutely should be redacted. And that at all is not only unreasonable, they are required to do that. And I have yet to have any assurances about that. So that's all I'm asking for. And again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me asking for that. But I do ask you all to be gentle as doves and wise as serpents. Why are they trying to do this so close to convention? It's probably not even about me at all. They probably think they have dirt on Joshua or something. I have no idea. I have no idea what their motivations are because I haven't been on that list since September. That's ancient history. Though I don't want my safety concerns, that's not ancient history to me. That person is still obsessing about me. Like, I rent space in people's heads, and it's really, really disturbing to people, when you realize that you might not have talked about or thought about a person in a year, yet they've been talking about you like every 4 days. Like, that is weird. That's not normal. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with my concerns. I'm all for the transparency. But I don't trust this LNC. I believe they have some kind of political motive for this. And Charisse said to me very, very wisely, she goes, well, if most of them aren't seeking re-election, what can they gain? they can gain people they don't like from getting elected. Like maybe they think they have something on Joshua. I don't know. Maybe they're going to make shit up. I don't know. All I know is I don't trust this LNC, and this LNC is compromised. Let this stuff get released by the next LNC. I doubt there's some huge smoking gun on anyone in there because someone would have released it already. Like if Joshua admitted in there that like he killed his grandma or something like that, believe me, that would have gotten out already. But this political gaming, to be honest with you, I almost suspect because they know how pissed off I was that that information about my safety concerns got released publicly, and they know that I've mentioned it several times. I honestly think, not Erin, but I think some of those people are doing this on purpose to fuck with me because they know I'm very concerned about that. Anyone would be very concerned about their safety. You know, my husband's deeply concerned. This isn't right. This kind of playing with people's heads, it isn't right. This should be above what the Libertarian Party does. But then again, I thought denying people due process was above that. But unfortunately, it's not. We need to clean the libertarian swamp. We do eventually need to see all of these emails with legitimate items redacted. But I don't think the executive committee is the people to redact it. Perhaps they need to assemble a committee of former state chairs who will sign NDAs, people who are above reproach, people who don't have dogs in these fights, people who aren't running for anything. I don't know, like Dr. Lark, who I respect beyond words, like maybe even the judicial committee. I don't know, but it shouldn't be the executive committee when two of the members, or even more than two of the members, are implicated in an ethical complaint about releasing information improperly from the secret list, and those are the people who are going to be monitoring the secret list. I thought libertarians were against police policing themselves. This is the exact same thing. Appoint an independent committee to do this. Libertarians Against Lynching asks, and now it's just like open for question and answers before I need to study some Florida bylaws. But I hope after hearing me out, you at least can agree that I'm being reasonable. You guys know how I am about transparency. Now, I'm not like Star Child. Star Child thinks that nothing should be secret. I don't believe that. I believe there are legal issues. Like if you're doing legal strategy for the party, you have no obligation to hand your legal strategy to your enemies on a silver plate. You know, if you are talking about discipline of staff, not things that they did publicly that everyone can know about, but like, let's say you found out staff was stealing from the party, but no one else would know. I do think for legal reasons, you have to handle that in privately. You know, there's some things that belong in private. So I don't agree with Star Child that everything is in public. I do think there's a time and a place for executive session, but that it's very, very limited. But in general, I'm one of the most transparent bitches you're going to find, but not when people are telling you, listen, I'm in fear of such and such person. Will you help me here or tell me what the security protocols are? Particularly when the party chair instructed you, which Whitney did. Whitney told us to have these conversations in private. When the chair tells you to discuss something in private, you have every expectation that's where it belongs and where it will stay. So what is the word on Steve Dasbeck running for LNC chair? He is, in fact, running for LNC chair. That is absolutely official. He had campaign materials out at the Virginia convention. It said if Dan Fishman is now working with Joe Jorgensen, And Dazbak used to be Jorgensen's campaign manager. Could this be the entrenched party arcs guy? No idea. You'll never hear me saying anything bad about Steve Dazbak. You and I have had this disagreement before. Do I think he's the chair the party needs right now in the middle of the strife we have right now? No, but I like Steve. But I don't like the way he's come out with anti-Mises stuff. I don't think we need any chair that comes out with anti-Mises stuff or anti-caucus stuff in general. You want to know when you're a grown-up political party? You're a grown-up political party when people care enough to form coalitions within the party to advance their agenda. We are growing up. We are growing up fast, and I applaud it. And in 5 years from now, it might be a different caucus. I think part of the anti-Mises sentiment is that people are jealous they're so successful and that their caucus isn't. Work harder, and maybe in 5 years it will be yours. I wish it was the Radical Caucus. It isn't. They've been useless. Too bad on them, and great on the Mises Caucus. I wish everyone were as successful as them. Yeah, Mr. O'Donnell, I'll put this up just because I can't. It's already on the screen. I forget I'm using a different program right now. When people disagree with me, I don't mind. O'Donnell says, I think Steve Dazbach is a terrible judge of character and people's competency. He and Joe Hopman kept singing the praises of Richard Manzo for his work on the Jorgensen campaign. Well, you want to know what? We all have our lapses and judgments, don't we? I defended Nick Sarwark for far longer than I should have, so I'm not going to fault Steve, but you know me, O'Donnell. I try to think the best of everyone for as long as I possibly could. But you know me, you also know me. I'm on the Angela train. I'm on the Angela train, and I make no apologies about it. I think she's who we need right now. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And I don't have to say anything bad about any of the other candidates. I love Tony. I love Steve. There's someone else running for chair that I don't know very well out of New Mexico. But I think Angela is the chair we need right now. But yeah, Libertarian Against Lynching says, yeah, Whitney's just ignoring my complaints. She is. And she'll get away with it because no one's holding to her to account for it. And I'll tell you, and anyone who knows me knows this is the truth. If I heard that someone else had constantly filed a legitimate ethical complaint and were being ignored, I'd take their side. I would continually write Whitney and say, even if it was Jackie Perry, because by the way, and I was right, I took her side in her initial expulsion from New Hampshire. I don't think it was done right. And actually, New Hampshire ended up agreeing with me. And no one can say that me and Jackie Perry are BFF. We're not. We're not. But that was wrong. And I said so because I have integrity. And Whitney ignoring my ethical complaints are wrong. I don't care who you are. You should be asking Whitney why she hasn't investigated my ethical complaints around Ms. Ebke and those other LNC members. She'll try to blow you off and say, I did. No, she did one. She investigated the complaint that the confidentiality of the EPCC was violated. She says she found no merit to that. I have to trust her on that. I never would have made that accusation but for Erin Adams telling me that. And I am more than willing to put my biometrics on the line for that one and take a lie detector test that Erin Adams told me that. She told me that the Wednesday before my removal hearing. It was immediately after a convention oversight meeting. We stayed on Zoom for like 8 hours talking. No, maybe it was 7 or 6 hours. So I'm willing to put both my butt and my body where my mouth is. See if Erin is. She's not. Because she did tell me that. I'm not lying. So Libertarians Against Lynching said, Could a valid criminal case be brought against Will McVeigh for wire fraud in relation to the LPDE? I'm not a criminal lawyer, so I don't know. As a layperson, I think yes. As a layperson, I think they could be against the National Party for continuing to link to the fraudulent website that is directing money to give money to the fraudulent party. I CC'd the party attorney on that complaint as well, or that concern, saying that I think the party could be in legitimate criminal trouble if it keeps linking to the fraudulent site. I've gotten no response because, of course, they ignore me. But now let me say something nice about Erin Adams. Obviously, Erin and I are not best friends. But let me tell you something about Erin Adams. Erin answers every single one of my emails. And she's not my regional representative, and she's always polite when she does so. She does not ignore emails. She's one of the few LNC members who doesn't. Wow. O'Donnell says Manzo will not acknowledge candidates affiliated with the LPMC. That is awful. He needs to be removed from that committee then. Michael says, what did McVeigh do that would constitute wire fraud? Money taken through the LPDE website when it's not the official affiliate and they are representing themselves as so, is money crossing wires across state lines. If anyone from out of state, even within state, I think. Remember, I'm not an attorney, however, so I'm telling you my lay understanding. But if anybody from out of state for certain gave money on that website, that is definitely wire fraud in my lay under non-attorney understanding. And considering I believe he took money, well, I don't know where he funneled that money through for that stupid postcard that he sent out. So that might have nothing to do with the LPDE. I'm only talking about the LPDE right here. Yeah, Ryan Brown says Erin replies. Erin replies to emails. See, I'm not the type of person who, because I don't care for somebody, has to think everything they do is bad. That's how you know somebody is coming from a position of integrity. If they can at least acknowledge some good things about somebody. There are some people who can't acknowledge good things about anyone they don't like. And when you find somebody like that, run away as fast as you can, because there's probably even something nice to say about Satan. And I could even say Hitler didn't kick every dog on his way home. So someone who can't say something nice about somebody is not somebody you want to be around, because they're consumed. They're consumed by some kind of hatred, and they're not somebody you can trust. So I'm going to see if there are any other emails, because I finished that soda. Look what my husband bought me. I'm going to get in trouble with this. Can you overdose on calcium and vitamin D? Because he bought me these, and they are gummies, and they are so delicious that I just want to sit and eat this whole bottle of calcium and vitamin D. Oh God, Ryan, that's going to get everywhere. Quote me exactly. He probably didn't kick every dog on his way home. Okay. Which I hope we could all admit is a good thing. Unless you like kicking dogs. I don't know. Maybe he did kick every dog on the way home. Maybe he was thoroughly evil. But I bet he kissed a baby or two. I bet he didn't kill every baby he ever saw. I don't know. I try to find something nice to say about everybody. Particularly, though, if it's more substantial than not kicking dogs, because I hope none of us do that. But like Erin, I say a lot of good things about Erin. Erin's got a lot of good qualities. I don't like her on the LNC, but she's a great activist. So I wanted to get this out while no, I'm not willing to have Chris Emling on for a chat. He was abusive to me in my chat. And while I'm willing to have him in any of my streams to say whatever he wants. I don't give my airtime to people who hate me. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But I'd never throw him out of my chat. He can come on my chat anytime he likes. And I would even give him the offer of coming on if he answers one question directly. So Connor, you can ask him this question. If he can answer one question directly, where and how did the LP of New Mexico give 30 days notice as required by their bylaws for their special constitutional convention, which they held on December 6th? If he can show me where and how they gave proper notice, because he keeps saying they did, I'll have him on. He can't do it. He kept saying in his chat, Libertarian Against Lynching. I'm trying to think of what show he was on. The show that said the problematic behavior of Chris Lucchini. If the live chat still plays, play through it and you'll see how he talked to me. Now, he didn't dox me. He didn't curse at me, but he talked down to me and he kept arguing and lying by saying that they provided proper notice for their constitutional convention. They didn't. I would just, if I were him, zip my mouth about that one, because I asked the party chair, Chris Lucchini. Well, I didn't ask him, a member did. And yeah, please do, Connor, because I wrote a letter and didn't get a response back other than it's none of your business, even though I was representing a member of New Mexico as a registered parliamentarian. And they could have wrote back to the member rather than writing back to me. But your bylaws require 30 days notice. And the bylaws also require it to be published on the website. Your convention's not even published on the website. Now, this member isn't complaining that your convention is invalid, but let me give you a warning. Let me just give you a friendly piece of advice. Any action taken at your convention can be challenged in Reno because you have not given proper notice pursuant to your own bylaws. Your bylaws say notice has to be posted on the website. It isn't. Go look. Has to be posted on the website within 30 days. I think your convention is March 4th. Might be March 12th. Notice isn't on the website. Now, is this member contesting it? Nope. I'm not in New Mexico. I'm not. I'm certainly not contesting anybody's shit from New Mexico at Reno. I'm staying out of it. Yeah, I know. Oh, okay, Connor, I thought you were in New Mexico. When you said other EC members, I guess I don't know what I thought. I somehow assumed you were friends with them or something. So my apologies on that. But I would appreciate an answer, because if I'm wrong, I want to know I'm wrong. But you could go right now to the New Mexico website and look up their December calendar and see if there's a notice of a constitutional convention to happen on January 6th. There's no notice. You can go to the Wayback Machine just in case they deleted that notice after January 6th passed, and there's no notice. A member of New Mexico asked Chris Lucchini when notice was given, and he said 15 days by email. 15 days, last time I took math, isn't the same as 30. Doing it by email, in my world, maybe in Will McVeigh's world, isn't the same as posting it on the website. So I think New Mexico could be in trouble. Now, I hope no one challenges New Mexico's convention. We have enough of that shit in the party right now. unless something super, super dirty happens at that convention, which I doubt it will, but I always reserve the right to challenge corruption. But if it's just your normal convention, but any absentee who said they were looking at the website for confirmation and didn't get it, they can challenge it. That's a continuing breach of the bylaws. I think New Mexico has some issues. What would I do if I were New Mexico? I would put notice up on the website right now and reschedule my convention. Because right now, someone can challenge it years from now for being invalid, because breaches of the bylaws are never waived. The passage of time doesn't waive it. If I were Mr. Lucchini, I would put notice up right now and reschedule my convention. But I'm not Mr. Lucchini, quite obviously. But that January 6th Constitutional Convention is null and void. Nothing passed there is valid. So if Chris Emling can prove to me, as he kept saying in chat over and over and calling me a liar, if he can prove to me that I was wrong, because he didn't direct me call me a liar, he just kept saying what I was saying wasn't true, which is the same thing, just a politer way of doing it. I will have him on. Now, saying an affiliate didn't protect the rights of its absentees by following its own bylaws is not challenging the autonomy of an affiliate. Insisting an affiliate follow its bylaws, our national bylaws require us to do that. That is not challenging the autonomy of an affiliate. Challenging the autonomy of an affiliate is saying what they can post on social media, unless you can show it violates the statement of principles. Challenging the autonomy of an affiliate is saying you don't like who they nominated for a governor candidate because you don't like her religious views. I don't like her religious views. That's challenging the autonomy of an affiliate. But insisting that an affiliate follow its own bylaws, which is a contract between the leadership and its membership, and I thought libertarians believed in contracts, that's not challenging the autonomy of an affiliate. Beth Best is completely wrong there. Without the bylaws, we have nothing. We have nothing. You're at the mercy of the leadership. But other than that, I agree with you, Connor. I absolutely agree with you, except for that issue. I'm not sure what you're referring to, so I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit. What's the authority for the claim that breaches of the bylaws are never waived? I will give you that. Let us bring out the Holy Book. Give me one moment under points of order. Now, of course, proving it years down the road is a whole other thing, because there's the butterfly effect. But in theory, that's the case. Generally, it's done within a year, I would say. But one second here. Point of order, timeliness, 23.5. Where does it say bylaws? Okay, I don't think it's in 23.5. I think 23.5 is going to nope, this is the right spot here. And let me read this to you. The only exception to the requirement that a point of order must be made promptly at the time of the breach arise in connection with breaches that are of a continuing nature, whereby the action taken in violation of the rules is null and void. In such a case, a point of order can be made at any time during the continuance of the breach. That is, at any time that the action has continuing force and effect, regardless of how much time has elapsed. Instances of this kind occur when A, doesn't have applicability to what we were talking about. Neither does B, neither then does C. But D and E both do. D says any action that has been taken in violation of a fundamental principle of parliamentary law, or C, any action that has been taken in violation of a rule protecting absentees. It says, Ryan Brown asks, if a state is not governed under Roberts, would the state be held to those standards via Roberts since the LP National does? Yes and no. States are not bound to Roberts because National is, but all states are bound to what's called general parliamentary law, which is why it is foolish not to adopt a parliamentary authority. Guess what parliamentary authority best encapsulates general parliamentary law? This one. Ryan, are you in Massachusetts, correct? Before I answer your question, let me know. And a general principle of parliamentary law is that breaches of the bylaws are a continuing breach that can't be raised. Oh, you're in North Carolina. Use democratic rules of order in North Carolina? Those are awful. I've read them. They are absolutely terrible. They do not protect your rights at all. I'm going to look up your bylaws. I'm real curious about that. Let's look up the Libertarian Party of North Carolina. Now, New Mexico has not adopted a parliamentary authority, which means they are bound by general parliamentary law, which you cannot waive breaches of bylaws. Libertarian Party of North Carolina. Now, in Massachusetts, George Phillies thought he was too clever by half because he thought he got rid of. Oh, and let me tell you something else about Roberts. I need to go back in time in New Mexico. If New Mexico ever used Roberts and then switched to not using a parliamentary authority and just said nothing, it means they go by custom, and their custom is their last parliamentary authority used, which is Roberts. Same thing with Massachusetts. Who we are. Is that where it is? Bylaws? Help me find bylaws. Where are bylaws on your site, baby? I can't find your bylaws. Help me find them in North Carolina. You'd think it would be under who we are. Platform principles. I can't find it. I trust you. Democratic rules of order are terrible. But in Massachusetts, it says only the SCC meetings are governed by the democratic rules of order. That means everything else is governed by general parliamentary law and custom. And guess what their last parliamentary authority was? Roberts, which means Roberts is their custom. George Phillies thought he was way too clever by half. Democratic rules of order are terrible. So LPNT section under bylaws, who we are. I don't see bylaws under who we. Oh, so who we are. I still don't see it. Am I an idiot? I got it. Let me look it up. Thank you. Oh, are you guys on the CRM? Because this is taking forever to pull up. Slow. Okay. And you said it's at the end there. Let me just look up parliamentary. Yeah, that's terrible. And I don't even think the 10th edition is the current edition, is it? I've got Francis and Francis on Kindle. I don't feel like opening up Kindle. I thought it was on the 11th, but I could be wrong. Francis and Francis is absolutely terrible. And you want to know what that does, Ryan? It makes your delegates at North Carolina, who are used to operating by the seat of your pants, as you say, because that's basically what the democratic rules of order are. The democratic rules of order is good for like grandma's knitting club. That's about it. It makes your delegates absolutely helpless at National Convention when the Roberts Ninjas show up. Really, it does. I wonder what other states do that. If you ever have a power to change that, I would change that if I were you. All it's going to take is for one member to get their rights really get screwed, and you're not going to want Francis and Francis anymore. And Ryan, I'm glad you're good people in North Carolina. I'll be seeing you good people soon. But let me tell you a cautionary tale. 4 years ago, I would have said the same thing about Colorado. It only takes one bad apple, and before you know it, they've spoiled a whole bunch. Now, things are getting much, much better in Colorado. We're getting back to where we were, but we had 3 years of hell. We've had 3 years of hell. So you always want to protect Roberts. You always want to protect member rights. You might think you're really protected now. It only takes one bad board for you to get a good reaming. All right, everyone. I gotta cruise because I've got some Florida documents to study for this upcoming weekend. Anyone who's going to be in Florida, I look forward to seeing you then. Excuse me. I do hope I've explained myself well. That I'm not against I'm not against in general this releasing. I am against releasing things that would compromise people's safety or disclose private health concerns. All right, everyone. I hope you have an awesome night. Mi guapas de libertad. And yes, I know I'm missing nail polish on a couple of my fingers. I'm ashamed. Stop nail polish shaming me. Don't tase me, bro.